Hey everyone, my name is Hamaji. Welcome back to another Switch review. Today, I'm going to be taking a look at the Noir Rose linear switch, which at the time of writing this is currently on group buy. More details later. These are another recolor of the famous JWK Durock linear switches that you will see online pretty often. And if you're a beginner, that name, JWK Durock, may be a little bit confusing, so let me quickly shed some light on that. JWK is a manufacturer of switches which then sells them to a brand named Durock. A very easy way to picture it is to think of Durock as the store that sells the switches and JWK as the factory that produces them. The confusion stems, I know, from the fact that a lot of people use the two names interchangeably and it makes them just seem like one big entity. Currently, there are a lot of JWK Durock linears on the market. You have the famous ones, I believe, like the H1s, the Malves, the Alpacas, and all of them are manufactured by JWK but are sold under the name Durock. And some other good examples would be like the banana split linears, which are manufactured by JWK but are sold under C-Cubed and use a proprietary C-Cubed housing mold. So I hope that clears things up a little bit. JWK is just a factory, Durock is just another brand that sells the switches. Anyways, if you've been looking to treat yourself to a JWK Durock linear, you may have been, on the internet looking for Alpacas, H1s, or Malves. You may have asked yourself a really good question. What the hell's the difference between all of them? And honestly, it's really simple. First off, the banana split linears use a different type of housing, so they're different altogether. But the H1s, the Malves, and the Alpacas are basically all the same. The only difference is to do with the spring weight and the color. The Noir Rose linears I have with me today are identical to the Alpacas. They both have 62-gram springs, and so any comments I make on this will also be referring to the Alpacas. So Durock linears can come in many variations. These are again just a recolored batch. It has a really nice bright pastel-esque pink stem, and it's also paired with a black housing, making a nice I can hear the Twitter stands already. The top housing is made of polycarbonate, the bottom housing is made of nylon, and the stem is made of standard polyoxymethylene. The spring included is a gold-plated spring, which is also really smooth. Like, for the price, it is really good. There is no scratchiness or crunchiness before being modded. Of course, there is a little bit of spring ping, but all of that can be fixed with lubing and filming. The build quality for the Noir Rose linears has been really good. I can easily work with them without the fear of a metal leaf falling out or anything really falling apart. They also take really well to lube, and filming them is also a straightforward process. Absolutely no problems here. In terms of switch wobble, there haven't been any issues when typing, but after some testing, I can safely say that on a range from Gateron yellows to black inks, the Alpacas are slightly better than the yellows or the creams, but are not as secure as the black inks or Telios switches. The switch's actuation force is never officially stated, although there have been estimates of it being around 50 to 55 grams. So using that, it's around the mid to light range. It's very similar to the Novelty creams with an actuation force of 55 grams and the Gateron yellows with an actuation force of 50 grams. In terms of bottoming out, they are again in the mid to light range with a bottom out force of 62 grams, which is identical to the tangerines and the Gateron yellows. The switches come in a 5-pin configuration, which is of course designed for PCB mounting, but you can also clip it to make it a plate mounted switch. Just make sure you please do your research on your case before permanently altering your switches. The switches do come factory lube, and it honestly isn't that bad at all. It's decent and it's not super inconsistent, but of course it can't ever beat manual lubing. So if you are a person who likes using stock linear switches and just want to buy them and use them, then that's fine. But I will always personally recommend that you take apart all of these switches, wipe off the lube, and lube it yourself to remove any inconsistencies and so that you get a better sounding switch. So after watching that sound test, you may have noticed that the switch sounds very high pitched and clacky, and that is 100% on purpose. It is not at all a mistake. And the way that they get this sound is by changing the housing. Now in the hands, compared to a Gateron Milky Yellow, it feels a lot cheaper and a lot less dense than when I compare it to the Gateron Milky Yellow. And the Gateron Milky Yellow having this very dense housing makes the Switch very thocky. The polycarbonate housing feels a lot cheaper and therefore makes it sound a lot lighter. And it's not that they can't afford it, it's just because they want that clacky sound. Unfortunately, I don't have a super sensitive weighing scale or anything like that, so the only way I can show it to you is through sound. So I put a little test. I took out the Alpaca spring and stem out of all the Switches and I put them into different linear housings so you can really tell the difference. So if you have headphones, please put them on and let's take a closer look. So I really hope with that sound test you could hear just how high-pitched the Noir Rose switches really are compared to the other housings. And one thing that I've read and discussed with in my Discord server is that people actually Frankenstein these switches. One of the popular ones is the Alpaca Creams, where it's a full alpaca set and they put the Novelty Cream top housing on top and it makes it sound thockier. These are a pretty cool way to get started with that because the end results are honestly pretty nice. So in terms of price, the Alpacas or Noir Rose are usually sold at 55 cents for a single switch or $5.5 for a pack of 10. And for a linear switch this smooth, this is an amazing price. Compared to the other linears on the market like the Black Inks, the Creams, the Telios, or the Tangerine switches, it is an absolute bargain and I can see why it's so popular.
Subscribe to Hamaji Neo.
Okay, so after recording the sound test, I actually recorded a conclusion which I wasn't really happy with. And that's mainly because I came from my Telios build that I did a few weeks ago. And so I still sort of had that feeling in my mind. And anything below that just didn't feel as satisfying, which wasn't fair for the Alpacas because the price point is completely different. So I decided to do a refresh. I restarted and I just worked using this keyboard for a few days. And I'll be honest, for the first few days, I wasn't really a huge fan of the Switch. It didn't feel and sound that great. And yeah, it was smooth, but you know, it just wasn't what I was looking for. But after a while of using it, the typing experience it gave was phenomenal, honestly. For the price, again, it is super smooth. The sound is amazing, and after filming and lubing, I mean, this is an end game contender, honestly. So if you're in the market for a linear Switch that's just, you know, better than Gateron Yellows, you don't want to go full budget, but are also, you know, cheaper than the Telios or Gateron Black Inks while maintaining that nice thock feel and amazing typing experience, the Noir Rose or Alpacas are the way to go, honestly. I am now a JWK Duroc fan. Alright, so if you guys want to get the Noir Rose linears for yourself, you can go over to rebuiltkeyboards.com. It's currently on a group buy until October 31st. You can use code Hamaji for 2% off, and it also helps to support the channel. If you guys want to get the Alpacas, I'll link some websites down below where you can wait for, you know, 12 months until they come back in stock, only to not get them because they run out because everybody buys them. So yeah. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope that this could help inform you guys about the amazing world of keyboard switches. If you guys want to support the channel, please feel free to join my Discord server, follow me on Twitter, or also support me on Patreon. Big thank you to these guys. Wait, is it this way? These guys over here, lovely people. Yeah, so thank you. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.